Do you remember? We started with the fundamental technique, fundamental analysis, that how one should forecast about foreign exchange. Let me display that PPT so that you can remember. Yes. We had discussion on this forex market intermediaries, the participants who are involved in this foreign exchange market. There are about 8 to 9 different parties who are involved as the intermediaries, right from wholesale market till government. Then I think we started with this forecasting techniques: efficient market approach, fundamental approach, and technical approach. Can you see my PPT? Can you view my PPT? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so can you view my PPT, which I have shared on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's talk about this technique one by one. Efficient market approach. Now what it is? Now this efficient market approach. Efficient market approach, which speaks about current asset prices, which fully reflect and it is available on the central bank's website, as well as relevant information such as money supplies, inflation rate of country, trade balances, that is BOT, balance of trade, and output growth. Now with this, one can understand now why these points are referred into this market approach, so that you can sensitize that how that particular market is of that particular country. So on the, suppose if inflation rates are stable, say from last 10 months, so one can assume that this particular country has control over inflation rate, and they are good enough to control inflation. So if you are dealing in regards to the international finance, so certainly one will have that assurance that it is safe to deal with this particular country, and the country which is having volatility in their inflation rate means there is a continuous ups and down of inflation rather than down. There is up direction of inflation. So in future, if this situation continues, then it will be difficult for people. And suppose if you are exporting, so those countries people may not be able to purchase goods because of this inflation. So inflation also matters in efficient market approach. Efficient market. So market which depends on this particular inflation rate. On the basis of inflation rate, market vibrations are based. If inflation rates are controlled, so surely the market will respond in well manner to the outside world. Vice versa, if inflation rates are not controllable, then accordingly the market will having vibes to the outside world. So if you are asked efficient market approach, please do remember that current asset prices, secondly, relevant information such as money supplies, inflation rate, trade balances, and output growth. So these points must be mentioned under this efficient market approach. On the basis of this efficient market approach, one can forecast foreign exchange rate. Another approach, which is fundamental approach. Fundamental approach basically based upon macroeconomics. So macroeconomics data is useful. Now, what is macroeconomic? Macroeconomic, it is the economic which speaks about the whole market, not a specific or individual market, whole market. That is known as macroeconomic. Let me give the example. Suppose if you are talking about garment industry, okay. Now, if someone is talking about kids wear, so kids wear, it is microeconomic because specifically you are talking about kids wear, kids. And if you are talking about garment, then it is the example of macroeconomics. So garment maybe for kids, maybe for women, maybe for gents, maybe for elderly person, and so on. So different groups are involved in macroeconomics. Whereas in microeconomics, a particular group is named, as I mentioned, kids wear. Are you getting my example? Macroeconomics, to whom we should call macro and to whom we should call microeconomic. Are you following my example? Let me give another example. Suppose now pharmaceutical industry. So pharmaceutical, if you are talking about overall pharmaceutical industry, so it is example of macroeconomic. We are talking in the sense of overall market of pharmaceutical in regards to India. But if you are talking about specific pharmaceutical, like say, what we can say about specific, maybe for cough syrup. So cough syrup medicine, recently because of this corona and all of a sudden there was a demand for a cough syrup. So if you're talking about particularly cough, it is microeconomic. If you're talking about overall pharmaceutical industry, it is macroeconomic. So if you're studying, if you're forecasting foreign exchange, here macroeconomic plays important role and not micro. So you have to have overall knowledge of that particular industry, overall knowledge. Whether it is real estate or pharmaceutical, or maybe which I given you the first example, that is garment, hosiery. So the overall market of these different commodities. Are you getting my example? Are you understanding? Please share your response. Are you understanding my example? Why this fundamental approach is based on macroeconomic, and what is macroeconomic, and why this data is useful? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? आवाज ऐकू येते का तुम्हाला? Am I audible? Hello. Hello. Hello everyone. Those who are attending session, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So, did you understand the example of fundamental approach, which is based on macroeconomic, and what is macroeconomic, and why this data is useful? Are you following? Are you understanding? Then another point, another approach in regards to this forecasting of foreign exchange, it is technical approach. Technical approach, which consists technical analysis with the help of tables, charts, and patterns. So currency charts and patterns. This data is being collected and proper analysis is being done of this chart and pattern. Different tables are studied, and on the basis of that, foreign exchange market is forecasted. So fundamental approach, which is based on very fundamental thing. Technical approach, we can say it is based on some tools and technique. Modern techniques are there. Mostly with the help of computer information technology, the analysis is being done through technical approach. So we can say it is a modern approach, and fundamentally it is a traditional approach. It is a traditional approach. So traditional, which covers fundamental, in regards to the modern, which talks about technical approach. Technical approach. May I go to the next slide? Shall I share next slide, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is next slide. These are the factors which affects on foreign exchange rate, foreign exchange rates. Factors such as economic sector. Under economic sector, say government budget. Each and every country's government, they prepare a budget, that is estimated receipts and estimated payments. And this budget also speaks about the facilities and the concession which is given to the import and export business. So the country which is a little bit liberal for the international transaction, so naturally other country who is planning to have business with this particular country, surely after studying of this government budget, they will decide, and if these budgets are favorable, if it is encouraging one, so it has effect or impact on the currency, either appreciation or depreciation. Again, the government budget, if it is indicating deficit, then even our budgets are also deficit one. But how you are managing that deficit? Deficit means what? Your receipts are lower and payments are higher. Payments are more and receipts are lower. So receipt is less and payment is more. In that case, deficit arises. Vice versa. If your receipts are more and payments are lower, then the country will have surplus. So that indicates financially sound position of that country. So this also matters, deficit and surplus in regards to the foreign exchange rate. Then balance of trade level, BOT, BOT level and trends. Now trend means here you need to study at least last 3 years BOT report, minimum 3 years BOT report. And if BOT report, if it is fluctuating one, every time if it is changing, then one can assume that the trends are not stable. Vice versa, while studying 3 years balance of trade reports, and if you feel that in particular sector the country is little bit stable, and maybe in another sector it may not be stable, so it will help you to have international business in such an area where the country is stable. So this BOT level also lots of matter in foreign exchange rate. C, which speaks about inflation level and trends. Now, if you compare last 2 years inflation level, as far as our India concerned, we are fortunate enough to maintain this inflation level, but other countries, I'm talking about developing nations, which are competitors to India. So their inflation level has tremendously changed. So inflation has gone up. So these trends are also matters. Next one is economic growth and health. So there is also a very positive relationship between economic growth and health. If citizen of country, if their health is good, if they are having fitness, naturally they can contribute, means their working capability is higher, and because of this higher working capability, they contribute in the economic in the nation's economy. Vice versa, he'll help people falling sick, having some diseases. Such people may not be able to contribute for the economic development of nation. So economic growth and health, there is also positive relationship between these. Again, the population of youngsters, that also matters a lot. Nowadays, you might have heard that most of the developed countries, their young population has decreased as they have adopted the different strategic policies about family planning. Recently, there was a report in regards to the China. China earlier, I think about 10, 15 years back, China has made mandate that to have a single child, one child. But after this 10, 15 years, now they are realizing because of this policy having one child, now this particular nation is facing problem because their elderly people number is increasing, and to take care of elderly people, there may not be extras available maybe after 5, 6 years. So again, the China government has changed a little bit that to have a minimum 2 kids. So earlier they were focusing on 1 kid. Now in last 5 years, now they are focusing that to have 2 kids. Even in Germany also, this family number of family members planning problem has become serious in Germany also, because there Germany is having a lot of place and buildings over there, but there are no people who can take benefit of this building and uh, premises. So this is the strange situation which Germany is facing right now. And this is just because of change in mentality, change in attitude, or say social transformation. So that is why the health and economic growth, there is a significant relationship between these two. I would like to conclude here that if people are having a good amount of health, surely they can contribute for the economic growth. Vice versa, ill health people, sick people may not be able to contribute for economic growth. So that country is lagging behind. Second factor, that is political condition. Political condition also matters a lot. A stable government, a country which is having stable government, surely they can have firm policies, and because of this firm policy, foreign countries, they get surety that this government, if they continue their duration, say for suppose if now for, in case of India, our duration for central government it is minimum 5 years. So once the government is comes in a power, that particular party, so it is, and if they are into the full majority, it is certainly assumed that this party will continue the next 5 years. So, and coming 5 years, do not have to worry, and just have transactions, business with this particular country. Vice versa, if political conditions are worsened and if the government is not stable, then there will be adverse impact on foreign exchange rate. Now, yesterday only there was a news that Russia is anytime Russia. Have you heard about Russia and Ukraine? What is going on between Russia and Ukraine? Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So have you heard what is going on between Russia and Ukraine? Any update from your side? Any update? Okay. Are they friend of each other, Russia and Ukraine? Are they friend?
No, sir.
So what is happening between Russia and Ukraine?
The situations are changed due to like war-like situation are happening there.
Yes, war situation is likely to be happen, and it is expected that even it was declared by USA president that anytime Russia may attack on Ukraine, and because of this, on Monday, today is Wednesday, just day before yesterday, even because of this news, the stock exchange markets were crashed by 1,000, 2,000 points. There was a crash in index in Sensex. Sensex has come down because of this news. And as you said, there is a likely situation, war situation between this Russia and Ukraine. So if you consider this present example of Russia and Ukraine, so if you observe foreign currency of these two countries, Russia and Ukraine, there is between these 2-3 days, the rates have changed like anything. If you compare last 1 year, the rates were stable, but recently in just in 1 or 2 months time, the rates have been tremendously changed. So here the political condition, because they do not have peace and harmony. Because of the lack of peace and harmony, the foreign exchange rates have been changed. So this was about political condition. Then third factor, that is market psychology. Now, what it is market psychology? Quality. Now, if you're talking about, say, European countries, so European countries, their psychology is their psychology is quality. Sorry, their psychology is quality. So European countries, they prefer quality material. If quality material is there, they are ready to pay price for that. Vice versa, there are some countries who do not have quality of their product, but their prices are competitive. The prices are cheaper. So it is their market psychology. So they are not focusing on quality. They are focusing on prices, and prices that too reasonable prices, economical prices. Can you give me example which country which offers very low prices of product?
China.
China. So China is the country which produces their material in a large quantity with the very minimum price, low price, and it is being sold to the other nation. So their psychology is price, that is a lower price. Quality, but their product may not be purchased by European countries. So because European countries psychology, they believe in quality. If quality material is there, they are ready to pay for that. So certainly they will not go for China product. If it is useful, I'm not saying they will not go at all go to the China product. Some products they may purchase, but not all products, which happens in India. Because China has captured India like anything. Now we have curbed some restrictions. Now we have started curbing some restrictions. But earlier our market was liberal to China. But recently, after this pandemic situation, now we have started curbing on this China-India affair, the transition. Then another psychology, there is long-term trend, long-term trend. Now, the product which is having long-term trend, surely there will be good demand for that particular product. And if there is a good demand, and for that particular product, if you are exporting, certainly the country will have foreign currency, foreign currencies inflow. Vice versa, country which is having lack of information technology, having lack of engineering technology, so they will go for importing equipments from other countries. And if this trend continues from a long time, then it is being indicated that the particular country is more depends upon import than export, because it is depends upon the import, except oil. Because if you're talking about India, even other countries, because we cannot produce oil, there are some crude oil which is available only in Gulf countries. So oil, there is petrol, diesel, we depend on the Gulf countries. So here, this is the exception, long-term trend. Though we have been importing crude oil several years from Gulf countries to India, but this is the exception. So do not consider this example. Long-term trend to whom we can say for example, in earlier at the time of independence, even India was facing problem of food grain. अन्नधान्य नव्हता आपल्याकडे. We were not having sufficient grain to feed our citizens. So I think in 1972, that was the greatest famine in India. दुष्काळ पडला होता 1972, and our godowns were literally, they were not having stock of food grain. Then what happened in 1972? We imported food grain from other countries. This has happened in 1972. But after 1975, just after 2 years, that is 1972 and 73, 2 years, we imported food grains from other countries. But in 1975, within 2 years of the span of time, we have changed our situation that we had sufficient quantity of food grain to feed to our citizen of India. So that trend could not continue. That trend happened just because of feminine and not for forever. It is not for forever. Another example is which is called as a white revolution. White revolution. In Marathi we call as a Dugdha Kranti. White revolution. Dugdha Kranti. So now if you refer statistics of India, and now we have sufficient production of milk. We do not depend on other countries. Our India is sufficient enough to provide milk to the citizen of India. So this is because of white revolution, and the credit goes to the Verghese Kurian. Have you heard this name, Verghese Kurian? Verghese Kurian is the person who is the pioneer of Amul industry, Amul dairy, which is located in Gujarat, Anand district. Amul माहिती है ना? Amul company. Have you heard this name? Amul,
Yes, sir.
Yes. So Amul pioneer is Verghese Kurian. So Verghese Kurian, his name is being taken for the white revolution. So he has changed this trend. Earlier, we were also importing milk to feed our citizen of India. But within a span of a year, we have changed this tradition, and the credit goes to the Verghese Kurian. So that was the white revolution. C point, that is market. This is the market psychology. Buy the rumor, sell the fact. Now what is this? Buy the rumor, sell the fact. This is a little bit strange. If there are some hidden agencies who works in an entire market, their job is to spread the rumor. So there is no proper base or authenticate base is there. So their job is to just spread rumor and make confusion in the minds of people. In such country, their psychology may change just because of rumor. But now here, buy the rumor and sell the fact. If you are having genuine product, if you are having genuine business, you can sell the fact. Vice versa, buy the rumor. If rumors are there, some false things are there, such things should be by it means there should be neglect. There should be negligence. Then D is economic numbers. Now what is this economic number? GDP, that is gross domestic product. GNP, gross national product. So these economic numbers, every year our central bank collect this information, and through a survey they collect information, and it is being published by government, this economic number. So GDP, GNP, then BOT stand for balance of trade, BOP, balance of payment, BOP, GDP and GNP, these are the economic numbers. On the basis of that, one can have a vibes of this foreign exchange rate. A country whose economic numbers are good enough, sound enough, so their currency will be appreciated. Vice versa, a country whose economic numbers are lower or average, so their currency will depreciate. So there are chances that their currency will be depreciated. So this was about economic numbers. Now we will talk about the types of foreign exchange rate. What are the types of foreign exchange rate? Types of foreign exchange rate. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Now, types of foreign exchange rate. The first type, it is floating. Floating, now name itself indicate floating, float. It means it is not stable. It is a floating according to the supply and demand. As the supply, so in economic, we know that supply and demand, there is an inverse relationship between supply and demand that we have learned in economics. There is an inverse relationship between supply and demand. As demand increases, there will be decrease of supply because there is a higher demand. So the supply is not sufficient to meet this demand. Now, let me give the example. Now, recently, during this pandemic only, remdesivir injection, remdesivir. You might have heard this word, remdesivir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now, all of a sudden, there was a great demand for this particular drug, remdesivir, and that is just because of corona. Now, when there was a demand, was there supply? Enough supply was there?
No, sir.
No, there was no supply. So that is why it is a inverse relationship. As demand increases, supply decreases because there is a higher demand. So it is difficult to meet that demand. And this demand, all of a sudden, it is increases. All of a sudden. Now, because of this corona condition, and particularly in the second wave, I guess, second wave. So there was a huge demand of remdesivir and oxygen also. So even our country was not in a position to supply oxygen and remdesivir. So what happened? We seek help from outside world. You might have seen even the oxygen was also carried from other countries through plane and through ships. And again in India, it is being carried through Indian Railway. You all are witness for that. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So the floats up and down in accordance with the supply and demand. Follows this rate, but here they have mentioned that no government intervention, but however, central bank of each country intervenes to some extent in a foreign exchange rate. It is depends upon that particular country. If their financial position is good enough, sound enough, then naturally their currency will be appreciated. So if it is appreciating higher and higher, so the government cannot have intervention, but central bank of each country intervenes some extent. In some extent, they can have a dialogue. Now, say for example, in case of India, now our foreign minister can have a talk with a diplomat of other country, and through this talk, they can urge, they can request that please look into this matter so that the business will not suffer. So there will be a mutual discussion between these two countries, and this central bank intervene to some extent. I am not saying the entire thing, but some extent they can help out. Another type of foreign exchange rate is fixed. After floating, fixed. Now fixed, it is peg rate. It is also known as peg rate. Some small countries have chosen this rate. There are small countries who have chosen this rate, fixed rate. But this is only for the small countries who are going for the fixed rate. A country who is having huge amount of import and export, they will not go for a fixed rate. So they will prefer floating rate, because sometimes there will be appreciation, sometimes there will be depreciation. So as the situation changes, the country gets benefit out of this situation. Then the third type of foreign exchange rate is spot rate. Spot rate. Now, what is this spot rate? Rate paid for delivery of currency on the spot. Suppose today, if you are doing transaction, so today, whatever rate is there, you are paying. So that is known as spot rate. Delivery of currency on the spot. In reality, no more than 2 days after date of trade. Now, suppose today is Wednesday. So by end of Friday, the transaction will complete. 2 days, Thursday and Friday. So Friday evening, the transaction will be completed. Of Wednesday evening, transaction will be completed by Friday evening. So not more than 2 days. Effective exchange rate, which is known as EER. EER stand for effective exchange rate. Two types of quotes, that is direct quote and indirect quote. In the maybe in next line, we will have clarity what is direct quote and indirect quote. But direct quote is also known as American, and indirect quote is also known as European term. Now, what is this direct? Direct, which indicates home currency price for 1 unit of foreign currency. Say for example, now today Indian rupee 75.34 paise per dollar. If you want to buy a dollar, $1, Indian will have to pay 75 rupees. Then only they can buy $1. So this symbolic impression is known as direct. Vice versa, indirect means number of units of foreign currency for 1 unit of the domestic currency. It is exactly opposite to this. If USA person would like to buy Indian rupee, so he will have to shell out $0.01327 to get 1 rupee. So this is known as indirect. So indirect where foreign currency and domestic currency, and in direct domestic currency and foreign currency. This is the relation. Are you following this example? Hello? Are you following what is direct and indirect?
Yes, sir.
Now the next line is
No.
direct quote is commonly used for direct domestic business. As I mentioned, direct quote, it is generally used for domestic business. So from the examination point of view, please do remember what is direct quote and indirect quote. Another rate is forward rate. We have learned spot rate, which is on the spot. Now forward rate, it is for the future date. Now let me read out. An agreed upon price at which two countries will be exchanged at some future date. Now suppose India is having business with, say, Japan, maybe in the month of April. Now today we are at the middle of February, and we are having transaction in the month of April. So in April, so there will be days about, say, 60 days. So the future date, usually it is 30, 90 or 180 days. So when you have transactions for next 30 days or 90 days or 180 days, their forward rates are applicable. Forward rates. The last one is cross rate. Now what is this cross rate? It is an exchange rate between a currency pair where neither the currency is US dollar. So there might be a Canadian pound or euro, different currencies. So this was about cross rate. Next slide. Foreign exchange market. It is divided into 3 sub market. Foreign exchange market having divided into 3 areas: spot transaction, forward transaction, and derivatives. Spot transaction, forward transactions, and derivatives. Now, just now we know that spot, it is on the spot transaction. that happens within 2 days. That is known as spot transaction. Let me share that again. Same thing. See, spot rate. Can you see this cursor? Spot rate. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I read out the spot rate. Rate paid for delivery of currency on the spot, and a relative not more than 2 days after the date of trade. That is spot rate. And forward rate. It is an agreed upon price at which two currencies will be exchanged at some future date, and usually 30 days, 90 days, or 180 days. So that is known as forward transaction, spot and forward. Now this derivatives, this is for the underlying product, derivatives. So foreign exchange market, it is been divided into these 3 areas. Please do remember. Now we will talk about the exchange rate quotation. Now what are these quotation? Exchange rate. So direct quote and indirect quote. Direct quote, it is for the home currency. That is, home currency appears first and then foreign currency later. Okay. Direct quote. Indirect currency, vice versa. First foreign currency appears and then home currency. That is indirect quote. What comes in indirect quote? What comes in indirect quote? Yes, please. Which information appears on indirect quote first? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So which currency appears in indirect first? In indirect quote, foreign currency appears first. Look at this example. See, indirect quote. Now look at this indirect. Direct and this indirect. Look at my cursor. Indirect. Now this is your dollar and this is rupee. So which information is appearing at first? Foreign. Whereas in direct, rupee come first and later on foreign currency, that is a dollar. So in direct, home currency appears first. Home currency appears first. So in direct quote, variable unit home currency, constant unit foreign currency. Vice versa in indirect, variable is foreign currency and constant is home currency. There is a constant is home currency. So please note down this slide. Yeah, please note down. Did you note this PPT?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because from the MCQ point of view, multiple choice of question, this direct quote and indirect, you will be asked to recognize whether it is direct quote or indirect quote. You will be asked to identify which is direct quote and which is indirect quote. Now, example of cross rate. Here, cross rate we have learned. Let me share you that slide. See, cross rate. It is an exchange rate between currency pair where neither the currency in US dollar. Okay. Now what it is? Neither the example of cross rate. If one US dollar is equal to 1.2829 Australian dollar, and if one Australian dollar is equal to 1.0892 Canadian dollar. So here, how many Canadian dollar will be equal to 1 US dollar will be calculated as under. So here, the formula is US dollar upon Australian dollar. Or if you are comparing Canadian and US, then Canadian dollar upon US dollar. So on the basis of that, we will calculate their rate. See, simple way to remember this, that particular dollar, say US dollar upon say Japan yen, Japan yen. If you want to calculate between US dollar and Japan, so US dollar upon Japan yen. Now exchange rate is determined on the demand and supply for such foreign exchange. As I give the example of remdesivir and oxygen. That was the situation just because of corona. But if you are talking about business transaction, so as far as technology concerned, engineering technology, we as a India, we import this technology from foreign countries. Say, last time also I quoted example. Now in Pune, metro work is going on. So in order to complete metro work, so the lot of machineries we have imported from European countries, particularly in Germany. We have imported machinery from European countries, and this work is being done. So now here, India, I am not saying that 100% we are importing some machinery we do have, but most of the machines, advanced machines, in order to have successful metro, we need to have import from this country, and we are doing that. So here, naturally, the exchange rate of that European country in terms of euro, there will be appreciation, and our rupiah, we will have to pay a huge amount of rupiah to this country. So basically, it is demand and supply. Now, once our Indians, if you are capable enough to produce that kind of, say, engineering technology, so there will be no much importing from other countries, because we have our own team in India, we have our own machinery, we can produce. That is why now the government is focusing more on make in India. Like even in Corona condition, we have invented the vaccine on Corona, that Serum Institute of India invented Covishield, and again there was a collaboration with foreign country. With this collaboration, we invented this particular vaccine, and somehow now if we are we have exported this vaccine to other countries also. So the other countries have paid, means our country has collected different countries' currency. So this demand and supply, we did supply of Covishield to other countries, and in turn that we have received foreign currency from those countries. So this exchange rate is determined on the demand and supply. If our demand is more, then naturally our money will be flowing. If our supply is richer, naturally we will be receiving foreign currency. So this is the relationship. Followed? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next one. This speaks about now, as we covered, there is exchange rate is determined on demand and supply for such foreign exchange. Now, let us know how demand is being created. So, demand for foreign exchange. Why there is a demand for foreign exchange? Why every time we go for dollar? So because of, we suppose if country is importing goods and services from other countries, naturally we have to make payment. So in order to make payment, the demand for foreign exchanges increases or decreases? What do you guess? Increases. So naturally the demand for foreign exchange will increase, because we are having import of goods and services. Then investment in foreign countries, flow of capital to other countries. Now suppose if Indian company would like to establish business in a foreign country, so if you would like to establish in foreign country, so their currency is required because you want to have a setup in their country. So whenever there is an investment, again, it creates the demand for foreign exchange. I hope you're understanding the example. If someone is doing investment in foreign countries, if someone is establishing their business in foreign countries, so suppose if you would like to set up your unit in Japan, so their land you will have to purchase, and in order to construct building, you cannot take laborers from India to Japan. So the local laborers will have to engage. Will have to engage local laborers. So in order to pay payment to local laborers, so which currency you require in Japan? Rupaya or yen? What do you think?
Yen, sir.
You require yen. So naturally, being an entrepreneur, you will demand for yen currency, and then only you will be in a position to make payment. Then other payments involving international transactions. For example, payments by Indian government to various foreign governments for settlement of their transactions. So if Indian government, if it is making payment to the foreign governments for settlement of their transactions, so there also we need foreign exchange. So this is generally at a government level. Then other type of cash outflow of foreign capital like donation. Now, the example is there are many MNCs who have been supplying funds through CSR. What do you mean by CSR? What do you mean by CSR? Anyone knows what is CSR?
Corporate social responsibility.
Yes, corporate social responsibility, CSR. So through this CSR, the foreign capital also flows. Let me give the example. Even the chief of Microsoft, the main person of Microsoft, that is Bill Gates, he has his own NGO, and through that NGO, he provides social services to the needy country. I will not say poor country, but the needy country, needy one. So through these CSR activities, the donation amounts is being collected in foreign currency and it is being spent. So this is one Microsoft who is doing, even Microsoft company have also provided funds, city like Pune also. I think 4 or 5 years back, Microsoft Bill Gates, he arranged funds for Indian NGOs, and there are also international NGOs like CRY. You might have heard. There are a lot of advertisements also being telecasted in different channels. CRY. So, if someone wants to help CRY, now suppose a person from India, he can contribute to CRY in terms of rupees. Now, person who is sitting in, say, Japan, that person can contribute in terms of yen. So that CRY is receiving donation in terms of rupiah, in terms of yen, and from other countries also. So because of also there is a demand for foreign exchange. If you are donating in your own currency, then there will not be a demand for foreign exchange. But if you are donating in their currency, then naturally there will be demand for foreign exchange. And let me tell you, this donation transaction at a world level, it has a substantial proportion of this donation. There is a substantial proportion. So this was about demand for foreign exchange. I will not go to the next slide, that is which speaks about the supply for foreign exchange, because we do not have that much time left. So we will close today's session, and maybe in next session we will complete the second unit. Second unit will be completed in next session. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Thank
Yes.
you.
Anything you would like to ask? Any queries in regards to this, whatever we have discussed? Before we close, would you like to ask anything?
No, sir.
Thank you all for attending session. Thank you.